guys, it's me, Animat. Now, as you may know, 2010 was a big year for animation. There were so many great films released that they really made a big impact when they were released in theaters. There was Despicable Me, The Illusionist, Megamind, Tangled, How to Train Your Dragon, Toy Story 3, and so much more. But what I really want to talk about now is the Annie Awards. Now, many of you know it as the highest achievement to earn in the animation industry. Now, this is more like the Golden Globes or the Oscars for animated films, TV shows, or whatever. And it's been out there for a while. I mean, I think it's more than 35 years that it first started. But when they have been handed out on February 5th, 2011, things are starting to look really suspicious. Now, I'm going to start off by counting how many nominations that the different animation studios had. Why am I doing this? Well, you'll see that something won't sound right. Also, keep in mind that I'm going to mix everything that's in their name, like all the nominations for movies, TV shows, shorts, whatever. Now, I'm going to start off with Dreamworks Animation. They have a total of 39 nominations. Now, you may think that with 24 different categories, and in each category there's about 5 or 4 nominations, having just 39 is pretty good. Well, wait till you hear this. Now, let's move on to Disney. You may think that 2010 was Disney's big year, since they released 2 amazing animated films, which are Tangled and Toy Story 3, and even have Phineas and Ferb to help them out on TV. Now, with all those projects, you know how many nominations they've earned? 7. 7 nominations in total. About 5.5 times less than what Dreamworks earned. This is not right. Just to let you know, I'm not saying that as a Disney fan. If it were Disney with 39 and Dreamworks with 7, I'd have the same suspicion. So I'm looking at this more as an animation fan. Now, if we look at the winners of the 2011 Annies, apparently, Dreamworks won a total of 15 Annies. Remember that there are only 24 categories, so pretty much, Dreamworks won more than half of everything in the Annies. Now, if we look upon which projects gave Dreamworks those Annies, there are only 2 projects that collected the majority of them. Kung Fu Panda Holiday and How to Train Your Dragon. We'll talk about that film later. Now, remember when I said earlier that having 39 nominations is pretty good? Well, good for them, but not for the rest. I kid you not. There are actually some categories where the majority of nominations are something from Dreamworks, and even 2 categories that have nothing but Dreamworks nominations. Now, if you want to know about the other winners and how they surpassed Dreamworks, I'll name them for you first of all. Not counting the Nickelodeon shows, I'll explain later, there's Robot Chicken Star Wars 3, The Short Day and Night, which is the only Annie that Disney won, Alice in Wonderland, and I'm not sure if they mean this one because they say it's from Sony, the video game Limbo, and the Children's Medical Hospital commercial. Now, you know how these animated pieces won? It's because in the categories they're in, there's nothing Dreamworks, or unless Limbo or the Children's Medical Hospital commercial have something to do with the company. Now, let's go back to How to Train Your Dragon, which is the big winner of the Annies 2011 with a total of 10 wins. Funny thing about that, you know how many categories there are for movies? 10! So, pretty much, How to Train Your Dragon won every movie category, including everything on animation, voice acting, editing, and best writing. And I checked, people, there's no other movie that got an award over Dragon. Not even Megamind and Shrek Forever After. The one award they got that I totally disagree upon is Best Writing. I'm sorry to say this, people, but that's bullshit. It's just a giant pile of bullshit. You're trying to tell me that Toy Story 3 got an Oscar nomination for Best Adapted Screenplay amongst all the films released in 2010, and in the Annies, they got ousted by this film. I don't care if you're the biggest fanboy of How to Train Your Dragon of all times, but it's common knowledge that Toy Story 3's story is superior than Dragon's. The story of Dragon is just two of the most retold stories of cinema history that we all know by heart, combined together with characters that have been constantly reused in different movies and TV shows since the dawn of time. Hell, even the classmates remind me of the Rugrats. And Hiccup is possibly the worst and most annoying character ever created by Dreamworks since Artie from Shrek the Third, thanks to Jay Baruchel. Now, I'm not saying that he's a bad actor. In fact, I loved him in Tropic Thunder. But it's just his voice is the kind that should not be constantly listened to over a period of time. And in here, he talks throughout the whole movie, which almost made my head explode. Now, I know that you're training your Night Furies to hunt me down and eat me because I said that. I know, because I had to kill off 5 when I released my review of the film. But I'm not saying it's a bad film. I find that it's a balanced film. Also, I know that the film was all made in a year, which I find that it's too bad because I know that Chris Sanders and Dean DeBlois can do better. What they really lack in story and character really picks up in animation. Right now, it's the best that I've seen by Dreamworks, and some of the flying scenes are pretty awesome. I also like the dragons too, but I was disappointed there were only 6 in total. And I do have to admit, there are some Annies that it does deserve, like Best Character Design or Best Music, but one thing's for sure, it doesn't deserve to win everything! Now, an important thing to show you guys to defend my case is proof, which I have right here. The sponsors. In the Annie Awards, they have 3 different places of sponsors for animation studios that work on TV or movies like Fox or Illuminations Entertainment, depending on how much they funded to the show. There's bronze, silver, and gold. And guess who got the gold spot? That's right, our subject of the day, Dreamworks Animation and Nickelodeon. Because remember, both those companies are just branches of the big tree that we call Viacom. Also, take a good look at the 2011 sponsors. Notice that nothing Disney is on it. No Walt Disney Animation Studios, no Pixar, no Disney Toon. Now, is it that they forget to help out that year? Or when they saw the nominations, they pulled out because they're sore losers? No. It's actually because they couldn't reach an agreement with the people at ASIFA. Like, Disney is finding a way for the Annies to change their ways, but they only made a few. And this didn't happen when the nominations were announced. This happened way back as August 2010. One of the changes is that instead of all the people who got the ASIFA membership can vote, it's only those members who are a professional on that field can get to vote. Just to let you know, it might sound good on paper, but it really doesn't help, because according to thewarp.com, there's about 40% of voters who all work in one place. Dreamworks Animation. I also heard what Dreamworks did was that when someone just got a job at Dreamworks, they get a free ASIFA membership so they can vote at the Annies. Now, I know you want to hear me talk about another case that sounds a lot like this one, when Kung Fu Panda got everything over WALL-E. Now, I checked the nomination count on that list to see what's the difference when Disney and Pixar are in the sponsor list. DreamWorks has 27 and Disney has 20. You may think that DreamWorks still has the upper hand at the time, but let me tell you, 20 against 27 is a more reasonable number than 7 against 39. To me, this is just despicable, because this case is not the first time that the ASIFA had to face that controversy, and it proves that they just don't know how to run or even make an awards show. Like, the only awards that they give out where the person actually deserves it are the special awards, like the Winsor McKay Award or the Oob Iwerks Award. I can't really say rigged because it's a little too big of a word. And that's why I'm here to present some changes that the ASIFA must make to the Annies. I know they said that it doesn't need any changes, but no, trust me, the Annies need changes. Now, the first change to do is who votes for the winner. Now, it might be a good idea to give it to only professional animators the ballots, but like I said earlier, it might involve some people at DreamWorks. So you need to give the ballots to the animation fans like you or me, film critics or historians who know more about animation, and most importantly, animation legends that didn't release a film or a show that year. I'm talking about people like Brad Bird, Henry Selick, Don Bluth, whatever. As long as they have nothing to do with a project released that year, they can vote. Would that solve all of its problems? No, because there's still the case of who would you vote for, DreamWorks or DreamWorks? Now that's why the second change the ASIFA has to do is to change the nominations. What they must do is to think clearly on who deserves to get a nomination on that category. Why can't they think clearly? It's because the image of DreamWorks' money keeps popping on their heads. And that's why they must do this third and final change: do something with the sponsors. I'm going to suggest you people at the ASIFA 3 things to do with the sponsors. 1. You can remove it entirely. 2. You can replace the sponsors with companies that have nothing to do with animation, like Pepsi or Best Buy or whatever. Or 3. Remove the bronze, silver, and gold position and make everybody pay about the same amount so that all sponsors are equal. If you do that final change, not only are you going to gain Disney's trust back, but now you can clearly think on who should get nominated on each category so the fans, the critics, the historians, and the legends can vote on who deserves it the most, and thus make the Annie Awards the highest achievement to earn in the history of animation.